Okay, so usually when you hear traditional higher education being described, you kind of hear terms that you could also use to describe a glacier. Monolithic, unmoving, slow to change, slow to respond to its environment. And no one in this room wants education to be that way, right? That's why we're in Bass Connections, which Bass Connections is more like a river. It's always moving forward, it's changeable, it's adaptive. And so in our work in the 21st Century Student course, we wanted to design our work with those values in mind. And we wanted to support it by making sure that our work was always personally relevant to us and that our process was openly collaborative. And this was the case from day one. When we walked into the classroom, it was a blank slate. And I mean that literally. We had a blank syllabus and we filled it in over the semester together. And so our professor pitched a big idea to us. Okay, how are we going to reframe higher education to make it more collaborative, to make it more open, to make it more adaptive? And from there, we talked together, we hashed it out, and we identified problems within that big idea that we could work on. And we actually started to self-organize into groups around the ideas that we found most personally relevant to us. And I have our projects up there. I'll let Carter talk a little bit more about it later. You should come and talk to us at our poster if you want to hear more about them. But not only were our projects personally relevant to us, but our process was also openly collaborative. So we started out in these small groups, and we used our small groups to push our projects forward, but we'd always come back to the big group to be able to reflect, to be able to get advice from each other, to see what were the next steps for our projects. Everything in our course, from our syllabus to the tools we used to our deliverables, everything was open to change if we felt like that was what needed to happen for the next step. So that's kind of what was happening on a course level, but this was also happening on a project level as well, and I want to turn it over to Carter to let him say a little bit more about that.
So our team came up with 3 projects. Ryan, Robert, and Zuzu pursued how can students showcase their identity through technology. Brent and I, we wanted to change CS education for the better, and Elle did some awesome work with passion-based learning and the benefits of that. So I can talk a little about my project, but I only want to do that so I can kind of inspire you guys to take some similar steps to make change at Duke. So what we did, Brent and I, we're really passionate about education, and we found that meaningful, especially in CS. And so I don't know if any of you guys are computer scientists, computer science majors, but if you walk into a lecture hall, you can notice the difference between that and industry. So we wanted to fix that by connecting students with nonprofits and nonprofits with those students. And when they come together, they're going to do a project that the nonprofit needs done, but they're going to do that outside the academic space. So students get real-world skills so they can then apply it later. And we're doing that by partnering with Hack Duke. Hack Duke is one of the largest student technology organizations on campus, and they have access to tons of nonprofits and access to tons of students who want to work with those nonprofits. And what results from that is just, I mean, it's a little bit of magic, really. Students can make projects that nonprofits need, and they get awesome skills. In the end, I mean, yes. I hope that you guys can, in your respective disciplines, pursue a project that is somewhat similar to that. Find out where education needs changing in your discipline, and go make that change happen.